Imagine a heartbeat moving through a monitor, slow, steady, almost indifferent to the world around it. There is something unsettling about a rhythm that does not change, even when everything else does. A voice rises, a door slams, a crisis forms. Someone demands an answer. The world expects movement, noise, escalation. But the heartbeat doesn't flinch. It simply continues. Most people don't know what to do with that kind of calm, because in a culture addicted to reactions, a man who doesn't react becomes a mystery. And the human mind is afraid of what it cannot read. We grow up being taught that loudness equals strength. We are told to defend ourselves instantly, to match intensity with intensity, to prove we are unafraid by making noise. But noise is rarely a sign of power. More often, it is a sign of emotional leakage, energy escaping from a system that cannot contain itself. Look closely at the men who erupt. Their anger is never clean. It shakes their voice. It tightens their jaw. It reveals how easily they can be moved by the world outside them. They are not directing the moment. The moment is directing them. Now look at the other kind of man, the one who doesn't rise with the flames. His body stays loose. His breath stays measured. His eyes stay steady, not because he is numb, but because he is present. His calm is not the calm of weakness, nor the calm of fear. It is the quiet certainty of someone who understands the weight of his own strength. There is a particular kind of danger in this stillness, not the danger of violence, but the danger of unpredictability. You cannot push him. You cannot bait him. You cannot steal his center. And so you fear him, not because he threatens you, but because he cannot be controlled by you. This is the paradox we often miss. The man who speaks the least often holds the most power. The man who reacts the slowest often sees the clearest. And the man who remains calm in the fire is rarely calm by accident. Calmness, in its highest form, is not the absence of emotion. It is the mastery of it. The result of a mind that has learned to stand where others collapse. And this is where our story begins. Chapter 1. The Illusion of Weakness. There is a moment in every confrontation where the room becomes confused. A man stands in silence. He doesn't argue. He doesn't defend himself. He doesn't try to match the energy being thrown at him. To most observers, this looks like weakness. It looks like a collapse. It looks like he has accepted defeat before the battle even begins. But silence is not a single thing. It is a shape that can hold two completely different meanings. On one end of the spectrum is the silence of fear, the silence of a man whose nervous system has folded in on itself. This is the rabbit silence. His breath shortens, his shoulders tighten, his eyes soften into avoidance. He is not choosing stillness. He is overwhelmed by it. His body is trying to protect him the only way it knows how, by disappearing. He learns this pattern early in life. Stay small, stay agreeable, stay quiet, and the storm might pass without hitting you directly. Many men spend years living like this without knowing it. They call it being peaceful or being nice. But underneath the politeness is tension, a fear of displeasing, a fear of conflict, a fear of being seen. This form of quiet is not calm, it is camouflage. It is a survival response disguised as virtue. But then there is the other silence, the one that feels completely different the moment you stand near it. This is the silence of the sniper. A silence not rooted in fear but in precision. Here the body does not shrink, it organizes. The breath deepens, the gaze sharpens, the mind widens in awareness. This man is not passive, he is processing. He is listening not just to the words being spoken, but to the intention behind them. He is reading the tension in the shoulders, the shift in the eyes, the insecurity inside the anger. His stillness is not paralysis, it is assessment, and assessment is power. The world often confuses these two silences because they look identical from the outside, but the difference is profound and felt instantly. A man who is silent because he is scared radiates fragility. A man who is silent because he is centered radiates pressure. People instinctively push the first man because his quiet invites domination. They instinctively back away from the second because his quiet suggests consequence. This is why dangerous calmness is so misunderstood. It is not softness, it is not avoidance. It is a refusal to be moved by chaos. And this refusal creates a psychological gravity, a presence that bends the behavior of everyone around him. But to operate from this place, a man must know what engine his silence comes from. He must know whether his stillness is rooted in fear or discipline, whether he is hiding from engagement or choosing the timing of it, whether his quiet is an escape or an evaluation. Because calmness without awareness collapses into cowardice, and power without calmness collapses into aggression. The awakened man stands exactly in between. He does not chase, he does not defend, he does not rush to prove himself. He waits, inside a silence that is not empty, but full of direction. To understand how he does this, we must look deeper into the moment before every reaction, the space that decides everything. Chapter 2. The Gap, Where Power Lives. Every moment of conflict begins the same way. Something happens, a tone shifts, a boundary is crossed, a disrespect lands, a crisis emerges. This is the stimulus, the spark. For most men, the reaction follows immediately. There is no space between the event and their emotional reflex. Someone cuts them off in traffic, they flare. A partner raises her voice, they tense. A stranger challenges them, they snap. It feels automatic because biologically it is. The nervous system is designed to protect, not to understand. It detects threat faster than it detects truth. And so the body reacts before the mind has even arrived. This is why reactive men look strong but feel weak inside. They are being moved by the external world. They are responding to the environment like a machine responds to a button. If someone wants them angry, a sentence is enough. If someone wants them insecure, silence is enough. If someone wants them emotional, pressure is enough. A reactive man believes he is making choices, but in reality, he is being controlled. Now contrast this with the calm man, the one whose silence unsettles people. His power comes from a very different mechanism, the gap. The gap is the small space, measured in milliseconds, between the stimulus and the response. Most men don't know it exists, but the awakened man lives inside it. When an insult lands, he feels the initial sting, but he does not move. When someone pushes his boundaries, he notices the surge of heat in his chest, but he remains still. When tension rises in the room, his breathing slows instead of quickening. This pause is not suppression, it is awareness. He is watching the emotion rise, peak, and soften without letting it choose his next move. This ability turns the emotional wave into information, not instruction. Inside the gap, a man gains clarity. Is this moment worthy of my energy? Is this person seeking resolution or seeking chaos? Is this attack real or is it someone's insecurity leaking? Is this challenge a threat or is it noise? This is why calm men feel unpredictable. because they cannot be pulled into emotional traps. Their reaction is not visible until they decide it. And unpredictability in human psychology creates an instinctive fear. People don't fear what is loud, they fear what they cannot read. There is the old truth whispered in many traditions. He who can remain still when provoked holds the advantage, not because he is passive, but because he is no longer reactive. The gap is where strategy flows in. It's where the mind steps ahead of instinct. It's where emotion becomes data instead of demand. And once a man learns to expand this gap, his life changes. Arguments lose their pull. Manipulators lose their leverage. Provocations lose their power. Chaos loses its teeth. Because a man who masters the gap no longer belongs to the world outside him. He belongs to himself. But mastery has a shadow. If a man builds calmness incorrectly, through repression instead of awareness, his silence becomes a pressure chamber. That is where we must go next. Chapter 3. Brittle calm versus true. Calm. There is a kind of calmness that looks strong from the outside. Jaw tight, shoulders rigid, voice controlled by force rather than by ease. A man like this might appear disciplined. He might appear stable. But if you look closely, the tension leaks through the cracks. This is brittle calm. A calmness built on compression, not mastery. Many men attempt to become stoic by shutting down emotion. They think stillness means not feeling. They confuse coldness with control. So they swallow their anger, bury their frustration, and tighten every muscle in their body to hold it all in. It looks solid. It is anything but. Repressed emotion does not disappear. It stores itself in the nervous system, becoming pressure, silent, growing, waiting for the wrong moment. This is the man who never gets angry, until suddenly he explodes. Not because someone pushed him too far, but because he built no internal room for the storm. Brittle calm tries to kill the emotion, and anything you try to kill eventually fights back. Now contrast this with true calm, the calm of the awakened man. True calm is not the absence of emotion. It is the ability to feel fully without becoming the emotion. Where brittle calm constricts, true calm expands. Where brittle calm tenses, true calm loosens. Where brittle calm suppresses, true calm integrates. This man is not numb. He feels the heat rising in his chest. He feels the impulse to shout, to defend, to retaliate. But instead of feeding it, he observes it, like watching lightning form inside a distant cloud. The emotion is allowed to exist, but it does not take control. Carl Jung called this integration of darkness the shadow. Not the part of you that is bad, but the part of you that is powerful and unrefined. Violence, anger, assertiveness, drive. These are not flaws to erase. They are strengths that must be understood and channeled. Imagine two men in a garden. One carries a sword he never learned to use. He hides it, hoping no conflict will ever demand it. His peace is fragile. It depends on the world staying gentle. The other carries the same sword, but he knows its weight. He has trained with it, sharpened it, respected it. He can cut, but he chooses not to. His peace is not dependent on the world. It is dependent on himself. This is the difference. A harmless man is not peaceful. A capable man choosing peace is. True calm has depth. It grows from the acceptance of one's own capacity for chaos. Because when a man knows what he is capable of, he no longer fears his own emotions. And when he no longer fears his own emotions, he can navigate the world with steadiness. This is why true calm feels heavy, gravitational. People instinctively sense the difference between a man holding himself together and a man who does not need to hold anything at all. To move from brittle calm to true calm, a man must test himself. And life provides the testing grounds every day, which brings us to the 3 battlefields where calmness is either proven or exposed. Chapter 4. The 3 battlefields. Power does not reveal itself in quiet rooms. It shows up in conflict, when heat rises, when pressure builds, when instinct tries to take the wheel. A man's calmness is not proven by philosophy but by environment. And there are 3 environments, 3 battlefields, where every man's inner structure is tested. These are the moments where the world tries to pull you out of yourself. Battlefield 1. Disrespect. Someone says something sharp. A coworker makes a joke at your expense. A stranger pushes past you with intention. Most men respond instantly. They defend. They justify. They explain. And without realizing it, they validate the disrespect by giving it attention. Reactive energy communicates one thing: you have power over my state. The awakened man responds differently. He gives the moment space. When the insult lands, he does not speak. Not for a second, not for 2, but for 3. In those 3 seconds, he is not freezing. He is reflecting the behavior back to its source. Silence acts as a mirror. People are forced to confront the weight of their own aggression. And when he finally does speak, his voice carries the gravity of someone who is fully in control of himself. A simple, steady, "Are you finished?" has more authority than a paragraph of defense. This is not dominance. It is frame control. The one who reacts least rules the moment. Battlefield 2. Crisis. A financial hit, a car accident, a health scare, a sudden loss. Crisis compresses the nervous system. It pulls men into tunnel vision, where only the fear is visible and only the worst outcomes seem possible. A reactive man spirals. He speaks too quickly. He tries to fix everything at once. He makes decisions from panic, not perspective. But the dangerous calm man treats crisis the way a combat pilot treats an engine failure. He slows down. He breathes once, deep, through the diaphragm, and he gathers information before making a single move. In moments of chaos, the first person to panic loses control. The last person to panic becomes the leader. People naturally migrate toward the one who is not breaking. Not because he is invincible, but because his steadiness gives others room to think. His calmness becomes structural support. It creates clarity where confusion was building. This is why calm men often become anchors during difficult times. They have trained their nervous system to hold weight. Battlefield 3. The feminine storm. This is the test most men fail. Not because women are difficult, but because female emotional expression operates differently from male logic. A woman who is upset is not always asking for solutions. Often she is asking a deeper question. Can your structure hold my storm? A nice guy collapses under that pressure. He apologizes too quickly. He tries to fix the emotion instead of holding the space for it. Or he becomes defensive and escalates the conflict. Both reactions communicate the same message. My emotional state depends on yours. But the awakened man understands the dynamic. He does not fight the storm. He does not repair it. He does not absorb it. He stands like a cliff against the waves, still, grounded, unshaken. He listens. He acknowledges her feeling. He sets a boundary without raising his voice. I hear you. but I won't continue if this tone stays. No anger, no fear, just structure. And structure calms the storm faster than logic ever could. When a woman realizes she cannot move your center, she relaxes. Not because you dominated her, but because she finally feels safe around you. Across all three battlefields, the principle is identical. The one who needs the least control always ends up with the most. The one who reacts the slowest sees the most. And the one who speaks last often speaks with clarity. But there is a deeper layer beyond these battlefields, a shift not just in behavior, but in identity. To reach that level, we must descend beneath the surface of things, down to the quietest part of the masculine mind. Chapter 5. The Deep Ocean. On the surface of the ocean, the world is loud. Waves crash, winds scream, the water rises and falls in endless motion. Most men live their entire lives up there, tossed around by every problem, every criticism, every shift in someone else's mood. They mistake turbulence for reality because turbulence is all they've ever known. But a few men do something different. They go deeper. Just 20 feet below the surface, the storm disappears. The waves lose their violence. The pressure becomes stable. The water moves like a single unified body, slow, deliberate, ancient. This is where true calmness lives, not in denial, not in numbness, but in depth. The awakened man does not avoid the storms of life. He simply refuses to live at the surface of them. He feels the emotion, but he doesn't become the emotion. He hears the chaos, but he doesn't inhale it. Depth gives him something that fast, reactive men never experience: perspective. From the depth, he can see the shape of the entire situation, not just the trigger, not just the insult, not just the fear. He sees where the moment began and where it is trying to pull him. He sees whether the conflict is real or simply a wave created by someone else's insecurity. And because he can see more, he needs to do less. Depth gives him room to think, room to choose, room to remain himself while the world tries to distort him. This depth is not gifted, it is trained. Every crisis is a weight. Every difficult person is a repetition. Every moment of tension is an opportunity to build a stronger nervous system. Chaos becomes the gym. Stillness becomes the strength. And over time, he becomes the eye of the storm. The place where pressure cannot reach. The place where the noise folds into silence. The place where decisions are made with clarity rather than panic. A deep man does not fear intensity. He absorbs it. He processes it. He decides what deserves a response and what deserves to pass through him, like a wave dissolving into the sea. In a world screaming for attention, he becomes the rare presence that does not flinch. And that presence, quiet, centered, unmoved, is the most stabilizing force the people around him will ever feel. The invitation to depth. When you strip away all the noise, all the posturing, all the performances men feel pressured to maintain, you are left with something far simpler: a choice. Not between strength and weakness, but between surface and depth. Most men will continue living where the waves are, reactive, loud, constantly pulled out of themselves by every emotional current around them. They will spend their lives chasing respect, chasing validation, chasing control. And the more they chase, the further away these things seem to move. But a few men begin to notice something quieter, a shift inside their own silence, a moment where the breath slows, where the mind widens, where the world's urgency starts to feel optional instead of absolute. This is the doorway to depth, not a place of numbness, but a place of ownership, where calmness is not an accident, but a deliberate position of the soul. A deep man does not need the world to be peaceful in order to remain centered. He does not need others to behave well in order to stay grounded. His emotional stability comes from within, not from permission, not from approval. This is why he feels different. Why rooms change when he enters. Why arguments lose energy in his presence. Why people instinctively lower their voices around him. Depth is not loud. It does not announce itself. It reveals itself in the way a man listens, in the way he pauses, in the way he breathes before speaking. And it reveals itself most clearly in the moments when the world expects him to break. Yet, he doesn't. You don't become this man by avoiding conflict, but by meeting it with clarity. You don't become him by suppressing emotion, but by understanding it. You don't become him by chasing control, but by refusing to give yours away. In a world drowning in noise, the deepest men are the ones who choose the quiet. If you feel something within you shifting, a pull toward steadiness, a desire for depth, consider this your invitation. Not to rise above the storm, but to become the place where the storm loses its power.